Serious 40.
Be a pile of a place where performers perform. Before you got on the stage, you will all be wrong about if you're good enough to rock the place. But if it was a day with no big cans in your face, well, it was.
Hey, what's up, everybody? It's your girl, that Chick Crissy. I am here with the man, the legend, and the very, very still relevant Kid Capri. See, we're in the studio. We doing this. Thank you for having me, first of all. And he lives way in the boonies. No one will ever find him. You are good. I'm going to jump right into it. And I'm going to talk a little bit about Master the Mix because I like the stuff that starts it. I like to ask the stuff that other people haven't really, asked in a while. And I know you want promotion, so you can do whatever you want.
Do what you do.
Whatever you do. So Master the Mix is in its third season. I caught it the other day, and I was thinking about the first season when you had like DJ Scratch on there, who's if you don't know who DJ Scratch is, you need to not DJ.
To me, that's my brother, but I shouldn't even been judging him. I felt like he should have been next to me judging the other DJs. Like, you know what I'm saying? But he's great. He's my man right there. He's incredible.
I was just thinking when you came in the first season that strong, like how do you feel? How hard or easy is it, do you think, for them to cast people who have that kind of skill?
That's a pressure that I fortunately don't have to, worry about. That's other people's doing. So I only have to critique the ones that come, that they pick. So out of that's enough pressure alone because, these people got big dreams of wanting to go, far in it, and when it's taken from them, I get to see it in their face how they feel about that, and it makes you feel bad. But I have a job I got to do, and I got to protect $250,000. It's not, I have protect, my my word. You know what I'm saying? I just can't, just say whatever that's not true. So at the end of the day, it's up to me to give them the accurate stuff that needs to be done. And
on top of that, they made it a lot farther than so many other people anyway. So it's already
just that alone. Even if you get kicked off the show from the beginning, you have millions of people seeing you. It becomes a plus for you. It's not a negative.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Somebody has to go. You know what I'm saying? You just happen to be the first one, but that doesn't mean that you're not a great DJ. It just means that when you doing a show for 2 hours, you have enough room to have mess ups and mistakes. But when you coming in front of me, in front of my judges, for 2 minutes, it's become something different. You got to be on your A game, thoroughly. You can't get up there nervous, worried about what I'm thinking. You got to get up there doing what the best you can do. And at the end of the day, if you don't do your job, that's not my fault.
Right,
you know what I'm
saying?
saying?
Right,
so,
absolutely right.
So, at the end of the day, I got to give them the accurate decisions.
Def Comedy Jam. 7 seasons?
We did Def Comedy Jam for 16 years. We did how many seasons we did? We did a lot of seasons. I don't even remember, to tell you the truth, but I know we had stopped for a while and we came back in 06. Did another one in 07, 08, I think. And I think that's when we stopped. But we always been on tour. We stayed on tour for a while, for a long time, for years. And we did it so much we just stopped it. As a matter of fact, I just did a comedy show with some of the old Def Comedy Jam people at the Westbury Theater this weekend. It was good to see them, but being on that tour, it was a lot. I jumped off that tour and got on 10 other tours, but you always come back, and that one was always running. We had so many dates with that show and that tour that we had to put out 2 other different teams to go out. Yeah, it was a lot.
I heard those TV checks are a lot better than the music checks, huh?
Stupidity. Okay?
That's what
Let's get it together, okay? Let's get it right. I love my music and all that, but that TV money is dumb.
Now, also, speaking of tours, you toured with Diddy when he was Puff Daddy, right?
Yeah.
So when you were at that point in your career, what was that like for you to do that?
I mean, it was just like anything else. I mean, it was definitely something that was a great thing. But I had so many other things going on at that time, and still like now, it's what? Thank God, it's never changed. It stayed the same. It's always been the same. You know what I'm saying? You may have a couple of down points at some era when you go up in as long as I have, but it always comes back, and thank God it's been like that. But at that time when I was doing that, it was definitely a blessing. There was so many other people they could have got to go do it, but they knew that I probably just was the piece of the puzzle that they probably needed, and it worked out, you know.
Right.
And as a matter of fact, you know, there was people that came to the tour and started with us and left. You know what I'm saying? And I was supposed to leave after the first leg, and there was 2 legs of the tour. I was supposed to leave after the first leg. I had a whole bunch of things set up, and he asked me to come back out and do the second leg with him, so I canceled my stuff and came back out. It was a successful tour. We did our thing with it. It was real big. It was amazing to see how many people came to see that show. You know, and that was definitely one of the highlights.
No,
you know.
we ran into each other at the Global Spin Awards that happened a little bit differently, just so, you know, for improvements.
I mean, everything is always, there's always room for improvement for everything. There's room for improvement for awards that's on TV. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, it has to start somewhere. You know, and just seeing all of us together. You know what I'm saying? And when I went up there and I made my little speech and talked a little bit, I made it a point to say that we all family. No matter what the level of success each one of us might have, no matter what we all do, it's all for the same purpose. You know what I'm saying? And when one conquers what we're trying to do, it hurts it for all of us, because the whole goal is to get the DJ to be looked at as important as anything else that's going around as an artist. That's what I always did my whole career. You know, so I never wanted to be looked at as somebody just playing records. That's why I go so hard as I do, because I want you to look at me as a force to be reckoned with. You know what I'm saying? And you know, once again, thank God it's been like that. And you know, fortunately, they opened that door for a nation of DJs to do that. Right. You know, so you know, it was definitely important to have that event, and it's important for it to get better. It's important for other people that, you know, didn't support it, be there to support it this time. You know what I'm saying? You know, because at the end of the day, a lot of these artists, they run to the DJ when they need them.
Right. I was thinking there should have been a lot more artists there.
There should have been a lot more artists supporting that thing, and that was disappointing to see. And that's why I said what I said also at the event, when I said, you know, you look out for all these artists out here, which is what you're supposed to do. But then when it comes to looking out for your own DJs that got records and their own people that's down, you don't do that for them. You know what I'm saying? And at the end of the day, these artists don't care about you once their record is done. Right. You know what I'm saying? You know, and when they get another record, then they come and they check you. If they're unless they're the hands out down artists that they always hit every time, and they don't need to go and call no DJs, which that's not even the case for me. Right. I think you're supposed to always call the DJs and give them the proper love, no matter what the level of their success is. Right. Because at the end of the day, they're the ones that hold the ground up for you. So without them, they ain't played the music, ain't played the parties, they ain't played the mixtapes, they ain't played on the radio. You gotta respect it.
Right. Speaking of how long you've been doing this, I think it had to be, I might be wrong, 88, 89 when I first heard your mixtapes. Is that?
88, well.
Maybe 89, 90?
Maybe. Yeah, I think SNS Club, me and Star Child started playing around that time, and that's when we started putting the tapes out. My tapes myself, I started putting out around 89, 90. Yeah, but when me and Star was playing the SNS, it was like 87, 88.
No, it's funny because I used to get mad at how much you used to talk on the mixtapes, right? But now
you understand.
Now I understand.
So
and not only I was gonna say not only do I understand, but now that's the norm. That's what everybody strives to do. So
there was no DJs with a manager. There was no DJs with a tour bus. I owned my own two tour buses when people didn't own buses. They rented buses, you know. There was no DJ that had the first DJ with an album, the first DJ on all the talk shows, the first DJ to take a mixtape and make it platinum in the street without it being documented that it's platinum. But there's people that bought houses off of some of my tapes. You know what I'm saying? Right. That's a known fact. So it's so many things that, you know, the first one to, you know, after being Def Comedy Jam, the first one to start DJing and playing records quick, because I had to play the records fast when I did concerts on the tour with Def Comedy Jam. So I started applying that to my parties, and DJs started singing that, so they did that. You know, and there's so many other things. It goes on and on and on, but you never hear me talk about these things.
Right. That's
you know
what
I'm
I
saying?
asked.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, you know, but it's definitely there. History is there.
Being that you were always kind of that innovator and that much ahead of the game, is there, like, with the state of hip-hop and where it's at and technology and everything, is there any big transition that you feel is going to be coming?
Every day they coming out with something new. My TV show shows that. You know what I'm saying? And these dudes is definitely a different game in a lot of ways. For me, I'd rather keep, for me, just for me, in my own opinion, just for me, I keep it organic. You know what I'm saying? I keep it, you know, the way I kept it. And that works for me. But there's for a lot of people, you know, the game has really stepped up into a whole nother level where, you know, you got DJs DJing with iPads. You know what I'm saying? And producing the beat right in front of you while they, you know, doing the show. And, you know, it's a little different now. So it's like, you know, you got to be able to keep the step. You got to be, if you're going to do what you do, you got to be able to stand up to that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And there's a lot of dudes out here that's getting real, has a lot of imagination, and they want to take off and end up in Pluto somewhere. So, you know, they trying everything they can try.
Right. Now the mixtape game too. How do you feel that's different compared?
Oh, it's extremely different.
I mean, and because before
Compared
it was
to
like all
what
the
I was doing?
underground, yeah, because it was all the underground stuff. But I'm saying to me, it's more. I don't know, because I'm old school, so I think a lot. I don't think everything new is good. You know what I mean? And I think a lot of it has become just the basically dirty versions that are on the radio. What do you think?
Well, there's, to go on your second thing, there is a lot of music that is good. There's a lot of music that's bad. But the mixtape game to me is not the same to when I was doing it and how I was doing it. You know, the way I was doing it was, you know, a mixtape is a DJ that makes records on the tape and plays what's hot, whether it's new or it's old. It's just something that people feel.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? My mixtapes was always a feeling. It was never about playing a new record, even though I played a lot of the new records that people didn't hear. My main thing was playing records that was album cuts that people wouldn't play. And but besides that, it was always a feeling. So I could play old music or play slow music or play whatever, and it's just the feeling of it. And when you heard it in your car or wherever you heard it at, you know, it just became an event. It wasn't just a mixtape. It became a classic and timeless. You know, and that was what I was shooting for, and it happened for me almost every time, and that was good. But the way mixtapes are designed now is, you know, an artist will put a bunch of records together, throw it on a joint. You know, and we did that. We did that with my artist Buddha Early, 2 joints. But I don't call those mixtapes. I like to call those albums. And being that we used a couple of other people's stuff, but most of the stuff that we did was our own music. So I don't like to say it's a mixtape, but that's what it is right now. Right. So you can't really argue with, you know, what it is. But a mixtape is really what the DJ does. But 50 Cent changed the game when he came out, and he called it a mixtape, and he did what he did. So, you know, at the end of the day, you gotta respect it. You know what I'm saying? You know, this is a way for a lot of people to get known that would have never got signed at no company. You know what I'm saying? And the same thing with the internet. The internet is a gift like it's a curse, because, you know, like I said, if you live in Portland, Oregon, somewhere, you know, where there's no real music scene or something like that, you know, you want to get known. You want to get out. You're trying to escape. So that's your escape. You get on the internet, put a little video out there, get your little gang together, and you do your thing. But it don't work out for everybody, and that's where the curse comes in, as that everybody is not built for the game. Right. You know what I'm saying? Right. But they like the glitter of it. They like how it looks, so they want to be a part of it. They want to belong to something. You know what I'm saying? And I hear that. I ain't mad at that. But if you're not great at it,
right.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like it just clutters.
There's a million rappers. There's a million DJs. There's a million promoters.
Right. It's like everybody want to be. You know what I'm saying? You get a computer. A DJ get a computer. He sees a chance to get a computer, a bunch of MP3s, and he's out as a DJ. And he's not really a DJ. He just like the fact of he could be in front of a crowd, or he could be in the game. And you know, I understand that. I get that. If you somebody that come from nothing, and you have nothing, and you want to be somebody, and this is your way in, I mean, by all means, but be good at it. Right. You know what I'm saying? Don't do it just because. Be good at it. Don't, because people see through that shit. Like, you know what I'm saying?
No,
I can see
say all the time,
garbage.
just because you have a playlist don't make it.
I can give that playlist to my daughter and tell her to play those, and she'll bang out. Like, you know what I'm saying? And go back and do what she regularly do, not thinking about being a DJ. Right. So it's like, you know what I mean? Like, at the end of the day, if you're gonna do it, just do it good. Like, don't do it just because you know, and that's what it is. Like, but you know, hey, I don't knock nobody's hustle. I just keep rolling and doing what I do. You know, unfortunately enough, the people respect what I do, because I respect what I do myself. Right. I don't abuse what I've done. I don't abuse my history. I don't abuse my legacy, and I don't abuse my future, and I don't abuse the people that show me and help me get to where I'm at, no matter where it is, no matter what it is they did. To this day, Red Alert, Red Alert put me in Studio 54 when I was nobody. When I was in the SNS Club, you know, to this day, 2013, I talk about that man in every interview I do, including the one I'm doing right now. You see what I'm saying? So it's like,
shouts out to DJ Red
DJ
Alert.
Red Alert, the king. That's my brother. I love him to death. You know what I'm saying? And you know, and there's so many other people, but he's definitely one that is always mentioned no matter what, because he didn't have to do that. There was so many people he came up with that was important. And same thing to my brother, you know, Star Child that passed away, Chewbacca Star Child. He put me in the SNS Club, and that was the beginning of me getting known. I was always doing my thing, but that was the beginning of the right people hearing me and seeing me and spending money on me and, you know, want me to get further. And it happened starting there. So I can never say anything bad about the people that was there. You know what I'm saying? They always did good by me. So, you know, but Red Alert was definitely one that put me in that big stage. And when that happened, it just went up from there. And once I sat on that street corner and sold the mixtapes, then that's when it became something different and got on television. That was it.
That was it. So don't even need one of those major radio stations.
Yeah, you know, right. I survived this whole time. I mean, I did 2 radios. I did BLS twice, but I survived this time with just the brand Chick Crissy. I mean, I've done records, but I didn't survive off of those records. Those wasn't my bread and butter. TV, that was very big for me. You know what I'm saying? But even with that, before that, that wasn't my bread and butter.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I was doing good. That's how I got to TV in the first place. Russell Simmons asked me about coming to my show and seeing what I do to these crowds, and asked me what I thought about doing a show like that. You know what I'm saying? And that's how I ended up starting.
So you mentioned Portland, Oregon, and from my understanding, back in the day, you did shows at a lot of places that really didn't have a lot of that exposure to hip hop and stuff.
It still do.
And there's still places.
There's still places
no, I know there's some
not that they ain't exposed to hip hop, they exposed it, but they don't get a lot of people to come to perform for them.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? For different reasons. A lot of times it be certain groups be a little too G'd up, and the crowd that comes to see them be just as G'd up. And you know, when you get that rowdy music going on with that, you know, that chemistry start going, and you know, the lick off starts. And with my joints, you know, not saying that this happens to everybody's thing, but in my parties, thank God again, we don't have fights. We don't have a lot of problems. We don't have none of that stuff because I keep people so occupied with having a good time. You know what I'm saying? That they don't have time to think about.
And the DJs control the crowd. Really?
Pretty much.
Like, you know, what do? They turn on the slow jams at the end of the night.
Yeah,
to,
they're the ones that set the mood.
Crowd, right? They really do.
Set the mood, for sure.
All right. You knew you wanted to DJ really, really young, right? Like little.
8.
Little
guy. 8, yeah.
And you've gotten to do so many things. You know, DJing, of course, but you're producing.
Grammy Award producer.
Grammy Award producer. And we will spin around at some point and get some of all this stuff going on. Now, see, like I said, I'm old school. So I had to ask, what did you do for BDP?
I did beats for Chris. I did records with Chris. Me and Chris, we was like, that's like my brother. He's my daughter's godfather.
Really?
Yeah. We did so many shows. I did Nelson Mandela. When Nelson Mandela came out of jail, we had a big celebration for him at Yankee Stadium. I performed with Chris there. You know, I did a lot of shows with him. You know, we stayed at each other's crib. You know, that's like
you have
my
a
man.
couple titles though, or something. I'm curious.
Oh, I did Stop Frontin'. I did Brown Skin Woman. What else? I did music for the '90s for his wife G Simone. What else I did? I did a couple of other ones. Oh, I did the record with him on my album with him. Do or Die. It's called Do or Die on the soundtrack to the Streets album. So we did a lot of records, and there's records that he shouted me on, and then also we did a home video, a home movie for a company where he did this big concert, and then he also like had the footage of him being in Japan and all these different places. And the concert was in a place called Kwando downtown, and I rapped on it. It's on YouTube. Somebody put it up on YouTube, and I rapped on it. I was mad young with the fade, I had the Big Daddy Kane, and all that. Up there robbing and all that, but you know.
And then the other one I want to ask you about was Heavy D.
Yeah,
Rest in peace.
Yes. Like that was incredible too, because when I did Have, I wasn't giving Have the record I gave him.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was giving him a different track, and when he started in the booth, it just didn't sound like it fit him. So I went in my bag and I pulled the ecstasy loop out and I put it on the turntable and I dropped it on top of what the music I already had and took out the main loop, put that in there, and he heard that and just went crazy. And then we got Tony Pope to play a couple of keys on top of it, and put the smack on it, and that was it. We put it out. Big record for me. And then when I did the J record, same thing. The J record was something different. When I did Jay-Z's record, it was it's like that. It was supposed to have been a different record. And we was in the studio, and he was passing the studio, and I had this record from a loop I had that I could never get the loop tight in the machine, but I had it looped on a little cassette, so I was just listening to it. He was passing the studio. He said, "What's that?" I had this loop for about 5 years. I had it for like 5 years and couldn't get it right. He said, "What's that?" I said, "That's, yeah." Put it together in 5 minutes. I had that shit tight. That's the record you hear now to this day. Yeah.
And which one was that?
That's the bam bam bam. It's like that, yo. Kick Capri and Jay-Z. That's right there. Yeah. It melts out there.
So 5 years and 5 minutes, huh?
Yeah,
Just need a
5
little
years
bit of motivation.
just a little bit of push. So you did a little bit of push, and we good. And fortunately enough, the same album, Hard Knock Life, I gave him Hard Knock Life for 45 King produced it, but 45 King gave it to me for me to do. I was gonna use it on my album. I wanted to use it for my album. But at the time, we was on tour with the Diddy tour, the Puff tour, and Jay was on that tour. And Jay asked for, when he heard me play it one time, he came in, the stadium, and he, ran back like, "What's that?" Gave it to him, put him on the phone with 45. 2 weeks later, it became his biggest record, and incredible. He did so much since then, you know what I'm saying. But I'm just proud to know I had a little bit to do with that success of that. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
and definitely, and it's just another thing under my belt that I'm real proud of.
Now, just in wrapping up, like we said, there are so many DJs, there are so many rappers, which I think is personally the reason why there's not a lot of longevity in the game. Because you're hot for a minute and then someone else is hotter. And, it goes back to what you're saying. Like, you're basically as good as you're useful. You know what I mean? Once you're not useful anymore, then you're not that good anymore, right? So, what kind of advice would you have for DJs and rappers that they really want this, they're really talented, but they're in those places where they can't get their music to the people that they really need to get their music to?
First of all, I'm speaking as not only a businessman but as a fan. If I'm a fan and I get on the internet, I don't want to see 100 videos of the same thing going on. You know what I'm saying? What's going to make you... See, this is what made Outkast so big. It wasn't just their music. Because if you heard their music and you didn't look at what they were doing, you wouldn't be able to identify the two. You see what I'm saying? It's because they painted the picture and ended up making themselves... Well, everybody on the right, they over here on the left.
Right.
No matter how weird you may think it was at the time,
it worked.
You adapt to it. You was attracted to it somehow. And at the end of it, you got a chance to understand when they gave you those big banging gut punching ass records. You know what I'm saying? And now you can't do without them. You ready to see them again. You waiting for their album. You can't stand that they not around. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
Because that's being original. That's being something that is going to go on and it's timeless. You're always going to go on. You're always going to mean something after you're dead and gone. You see what I'm saying? You laid the blueprint, but when you making a record and when you walking down the street and I can't even identify who you are.
Right.
I don't even know who you are.
Right.
Because when you get on stage, you got 50 people on stage. How can anybody identify you? You know Jay when he get on stage. You knew KRS when he got on stage. You knew Big Daddy Kane when he got on stage. You know Lil Wayne when he get on stage. You know certain people that really care about their career. When they get on stage, it's about their business. And after business, we can party and rock out. But right now, I got to give the people what they're paying for.
Right.
And they're not paying for 1,000 niggas to be on stage doing nothing.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, they're smoking and drinking. They're doing little.
That's it. And that's it. That's not to knock anybody. It's just real professional shit. It's just that if I'm a fan, I'm speaking like a fan. Like I said at the top of the page. If I'm a fan and I'm looking, I want to enjoy the show. I want to go home feeling like I paid my money. I had a good time.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It was for nothing. I don't want to feel like, damn, I don't want to go to this ratchet ass shit no more. It's like, I don't want to feel like that. I want to feel like they gave me a good ass show, and that was dope. Now, after that, let's go to the after party. I can see everybody.
Right.
Everybody that want to be on stage, come on, let's go. You know what I'm saying? Let's get it popping. But if you don't care about your